You know, there are some jobs that just seem a little bit creepy at night. Delivering food is definitely one of them. You're going to strangers' houses, often in unfamiliar neighborhoods, all while it's dark outside. Most of the time, it's perfectly fine. You hand over the food, get a tip, and you're on your way. But every once in a while, something happens that just sticks with you, something that makes the hair on your arms stand up. This story is one of those times. It happened to a pizza delivery driver named Mark, a college student just trying to make some extra cash. He thought it would be an easy gig, but one particular delivery turned his routine shift into a nightmare he'd never forget. It was a Tuesday night, which is usually pretty slow for deliveries. Mark was about to clock out around 10 p.m. when a late order came through. The address was on the outskirts of town, in a rural area he wasn't too familiar with. It was a single large pizza with extra cheese. Nothing unusual about the order itself. The name was just Jay. The address led him down a long winding dirt road, surrounded by dense woods. His GPS was starting to lose signal, and the further he drove, the darker it got. There were no streetlights out here, just the faint glow of the moon filtering through the thick canopy of trees. It felt like he was driving into the middle of nowhere. Finally, he saw it. A single-story house, set way back from the road. It was old and looked run down. Most of the windows were dark, except for a faint, flickering light coming from what he assumed was the living room. The porch light was off. An old beat-up truck was parked in the overgrown front yard. A sense of unease started to creep in, but he shook it off. It was just a delivery. He grabbed the pizza bag, took a deep breath, and walked up the creaky wooden steps to the front door. He knocked once, twice, but there was no answer. He could hear a TV or a radio playing faintly inside. He was about to knock again when the door slowly creaked open on its own. The air that wafted out was musty and cold. "Hello, pizza delivery," Mark called out, his voice sounding a little shakier than he would have liked. Silence. The flickering light he'd seen from outside was coming from a TV screen which was just showing static. The room was a mess. Old newspapers were piled up in corners, and dirty dishes were stacked on every available surface. It looked like no one had cleaned in years. "Is anyone here?" He tried again, stepping just inside the doorway. He didn't want to go in, but he also didn't want to leave without getting paid. It was a $20 pizza, and he needed the money. As his eyes adjusted to the dim light, he saw a figure sitting in a large armchair facing away from the door, towards the static-filled TV. "Sir, I have your pizza," Mark said, a little louder this time. The figure didn't move. Mark took another hesitant step into the room. The smell was getting worse, something sour and metallic. He cautiously walked around the armchair, and that's when his heart stopped. The man in the chair was slumped over, his eyes wide and vacant. He was clearly not just asleep. Mark felt a wave of nausea wash over him. He stumbled backward, his hand flying to his mouth. He needed to get out of there, right now. He turned to run, but just as he reached the doorway, it slammed shut with a deafening bang. He wasn't alone. He whipped his head around, his eyes darting frantically across the shadowed room. He saw a movement in the hallway that led deeper into the house. A tall, gaunt figure emerged from the darkness. The man was unnaturally thin, with sunken eyes that seemed to glow in the dim light from the TV. He was holding something long and metallic. Mark's blood ran cold. This had to be Jay. He hadn't ordered the pizza to eat it. He had ordered it for a completely different, horrifying reason. The gaunt man started walking towards him, slowly, deliberately, a twisted smile spreading across his face. Mark fumbled with the doorknob, his hand shaking so violently he could barely get a grip. It was locked. He was trapped. The man didn't say a word, which was somehow even more terrifying. The only sound was the crackle of the TV static and his own panicked breathing. Mark backed away, his eyes locked on the approaching figure. He scanned the room for anything he could use as a weapon. His eyes landed on a heavy-looking fireplace poker leaning against the hearth. It was his only chance. As the man lunged, Mark grabbed the poker and swung it with all his might. He connected with the man's arm, and the metallic object he was holding clattered to the floor. The man let out a guttural scream of rage, not pain. The distraction gave Mark a precious second. He didn't wait to see what would happen next. He turned and threw his entire body weight against one of the large front windows. The glass shattered, and he tumbled out onto the porch, cutting his arms and face on the broken shards. He scrambled to his feet, ignoring the pain, and sprinted towards his car like his life depended on it, because it did. He didn't look back. He jumped into his car, fumbling with the keys, his hands still slick with a mix of sweat and blood. The engine roared to life, and he slammed the gas pedal to the floor, spraying gravel everywhere as he sped away. He drove like a maniac, his eyes glued to the rearview mirror, half expecting to see the gaunt figure chasing after him. He didn't slow down until he was back on the main road. the comforting glow of streetlights finally surrounding him, he pulled over, his body trembling uncontrollably, and immediately called the police. The police took his statement, and he led them back to the creepy old house. They found the scene just as Mark had described it. The man in the chair, the shattered window, and the pizza box lying on the floor. But the gaunt man, Jay, was gone. They searched the house and the surrounding woods, but he had vanished without a trace. The police later confirmed that the man in the chair had been the original homeowner, and he hadn't died of natural causes. Mark quit his job the next day. He never delivered another pizza. To this day, the man known only as Jay has never been found. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? The next time you order a late-night delivery, think about the person bringing it to your door. You never know what they might encounter on the way. Thanks for watching, and if you have a creepy story of your own, share it in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more true scary stories. Stay safe out there.